Welcome to another episode of Just Cuz, the podcast where two cousins talk about things they love.
Just Cuz. And today we are talking about the one, the only, Psych. I know this is an old show, guys.
Yeah, maybe
not that old,
not
but
everyone
old.
has heard of it listening, but trust me, it's really good. In preparation of this episode, I rewatched a couple episodes, and it holds up. Psych's great.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't know what Psych's about, let me run it down real quick for you. Psych is about Sean Spencer, a fake psychic detective, and his best friend, Burton Guster, working for the police department, solving cases, quote unquote, psychically. They're working with two detectives, Carlton Lassiter and Juliet O'Hara, and Sean's dad, Henry Spencer, sometimes comes in, and most episode comes in and plays a role and helps Sean out, keeping his secret fake psychic ability.
And from what I remember, there's always a flashback to Sean and his childhood, and his dad teaches him something about detecting.
Yeah. That keeps up like all the way until I thought it crapped out way earlier than it did. I'm doing a full rewatch right now.
Awesome.
And it goes all the way until around season 6 or 7.
Dang.
Like I'm still in the middle of season 6 in my rewatch, and I'm just getting to the very few episodes where there's no flashbacks, and I was surprised that they went on that long.
Yeah, no, I remember. I mean, I watched all of Psych, but I rewatched that season finale where it was them going in old Alfred Hitchcock movies. Like, yes, I rewatched that episode
one, okay,
a billion times.
I have to talk about that one later because I have a lot to say about it, but such an incredible episode. And did you know that is one of the 4 or 5 episodes that's actually directed by James Roday Rodriguez, the actor who plays Sean Spencer?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
He directed that one. It's crazy. Incredible. Everyone is incredible in this show. Psych went on for 8 seasons and then ended in 2014, I believe. But the fans loved it so much, and the cast loved being together so much that they have come back and they have made not 1, not 2, but 3 Psych movies. And there's another one on the way.
They've gone on record
saying... Yeah, wow. They've gone on record saying that they will keep making these movies as long as they can and as long as people want to see them.
Yes.
Psych is an amazing show. If what I just said doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. Go check it out. But the reason I wanted to talk about it, and the thing that spawned my own personal rewatch this time, I watched it a lot, guys. But this time is because of this YouTube video that I saw. It's like a 3.5 hour YouTube video. You know how I do. I love the video essays. And it is all about how Psych is not just the best detective show. It is the best Sherlock Holmes adaptation in existence. That's the title. And all credit to this idea and everything that I'm about to talk about goes to Tall is the Introvert on YouTube, at Tall is the Introvert. They're a great channel. I've watched a bunch of their videos. But I saw that title in my For You on YouTube, and I went, no, it's not. I went, I've seen Psych 100 times. It's not Sherlock Holmes. I know Sherlock Holmes. I've read Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
And then I was humbled, okay? I was shown just how wrong I was, how bad my critical analysis skills are. Honestly, gotta sharpen those things, okay? Because they started the video by breaking down the characters. And it first started, once I started to get hooked, was when she said, when they said, Psych is about Sean. Sean is not a psychic detective. We all know that. That's the premise of the show.
Yeah.
He is a fake psychic detective. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And from what I know, he's just doing that because he has to.
Right. But why is he a fake psychic detective? Because he is so good at being a detective that he can solve cases that people in ways that people think is impossible. And the only way to save his ass and convince the police that he was not involved in these crimes is for him to say that he's a psychic.
Which is ridiculous, but I love it.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But that brings us back to Sherlock Holmes. Why is Sherlock Holmes not Sherlock from BBC's Sherlock? Why is Sherlock Holmes from
Sir Arthur Conan
what's
Doyle?
His name? Arthur Conan Doyle, thank you. I was almost made a fool.
All I know about him is that he loved fairies. He was a very supernatural guy.
That's interesting. I like that.
I don't know why I
like
bring that
fairies
up,
too.
but
No,
like I had
that's
to.
I like it. That's interesting. I didn't know that. The more you know. That NBC tune always plays every single time. But so Sherlock Holmes, why is he a great detective? Because he's great at noticing things and he's great at deductive reasoning. Why is Sean a great detective? Because he's good at noticing things and deductive reasoning. They are basically the same character, noticing things that other people don't see. And again, all of this credit is to Tal is the Introvert on YouTube. I did not come up with this. I just want to talk about it because it blew my freaking mind. Okay? And then they started comparing other characters to Sherlock Holmes characters, and that's where it really got me. Okay? Okay, I have the list. Are you ready?
I was gonna say I've compiled my own list of Sherlock characters.
Oh, you did?
Well, I mean some of my favorites, but honestly,
the characters in comparison to Sherlock Holmes characters.
Yes.
Is that what you're doing?
Well, I mean not specifically Sherlock Holmes. Like I got Columbo on my list, but you know,
okay.
I just mean like famous detectives because I began, and this is you texted me a little while ago with the idea of this topic for a podcast, and I was like, yes, we gotta do that. Because I immediately began thinking of the comparison of just all of the different detective characters that are famous and why are they famous. And you got like Agatha Christie's Poirot, which is kind of like a perfect person. Like he's kind of infallible. And then you go further on that kind of spectrum of detectives. And I feel like at the end of that is Sherlock. And even Sean is more on the level of Sherlock. I feel like that's what you're going to get into. I don't even know, but that was my initial like, oh my God, yes, that is why Sean is perfect. Right?
Yeah, because Sean is... it's crazy when you watch the show because he's a buffoon.
Yeah.
He's a fool. But
it's almost like he's drunk half the time.
He's a child. He's drunk. Yeah, exactly. He's crazy. But then you actually look at what he's doing and you're like, okay, he is it. And they even say this in one episode. I believe it is the episode. I don't remember what it's called, but I know that it's the episode right before the episode called One, Maybe Two Ways Out. And that is the episode. And that one is the episode right before Sean and Jules get together. That's very convoluted, but it's 2 episodes before Sean and Jules get together. The reason I know that is because the character who says that is a character called Declan Rand, who he comes into the show and he is a fake, criminal profiler. He's not a real criminal profiler, even though that does exist.
Yeah.
Psychics don't exist. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to
anyone who's a psychic out there.
Anyone who believes in psychics, but I personally don't believe seeing into the future exists.
I'm too jaded and I just see it as a scam. But maybe that's just me.
Yeah. No, it's me too.
Yeah.
But, you know, I believe there's things we don't understand. There's things we don't control. I don't believe that people can see into the future. But whatever. Anyway. No. Or into your soul or whatever. But, so anyway, Declan Rand is a fake criminal profiler. And Sean goes, oh yeah, profile me. And he says, you're highly intelligent, but you're shameful of that fact, so you hide it with jokes and references and silly, crazy actions. He said, that's paraphrasing. That's not exactly what he says. But I was like, damn, Declan, you really nailed the nail on the hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. I don't even remember that character saying that. I remember the character, but man, that is perfect.
Yeah.
That
and it's like, because Sean is, it's proven so early in the show too. Like I'm pretty sure it's season 1 or maybe the beginning of season 2. I think it's the beginning of season 2. Juliet and Lassiter have this subplot storyline where they're arguing about who's the better detective, because Juliet got a 98.7 on the detective's exam and Carlton got a 98.4 or something, and she got higher than him, and so he's competing with her to see who's the best detective. And then at the end of the episode, Sean walks in and he's like, oh, you guys are talking about the detective's exam? I took that when I was 15, got 100. It's just like, yeah, it's crazy.
He's one of those just straight up geniuses.
He's crazy smart. And then he is a genius. And that's why certain serial killers, who I'll talk about in a minute, glom onto him. But once you start comparing the other characters in Psych to the Sherlock Holmes cast, then that's where things get interesting. Because who is Sean's partner in crime? Is he someone who is his best friend, who is okay at deductive reasoning, not great, okay at it, and who has medical know-how?
He's got a medical background.
Burton Guster is a pharmaceutical salesman. He's not a doctor like Dr. John Watson, but he brings the medical know-how to the show, and he brings that to the forefront in so many episodes.
You know why he's better than Watson? And I'm sorry, I'm going to rag on Watson for a second.
Oh, he's totally better than Watson.
He's got the sniffer. He's got the super sniffer.
He's got the super sniffer. He's got the jackal. He's got so many things. He's magic head.
Yeah, the magic cue ball head. Is it Sean who always says the nickname? He always says, like, I'm Sean Spencer and this is my partner.
Yeah.
Wonderland McGee or something.
The last one that I saw was Fellatio del Toro.
That's just
it's
perfect.
Like, hi, I'm Sean Spencer and this is my partner, Methuselah Honeysuckle. They're so good. That's a real one. They're so funny.
And there are rare times when Gus gets to nickname Sean, and it's always perfect.
It's always so good. There's so many in-jokes, so many little running gags in this show. It's phenomenal. But we're just at the tip of the iceberg here, okay?
Yep.
Because then who does Tall is the introvert say that Lestrade. Is that right? Lestrade, yeah. Not Lestat. He's a vampire. Lestrade, yeah, Detective Lestrade. Obviously Lassiter, right? That one's not a far leap. He's the by-the-books detective who doesn't agree with the methods used by these private investigators, but do they get results. If that doesn't describe Detective Lestrade and Carlton Lassiter, I don't know what does. Okay?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Then Mycroft Holmes. Who's Mycroft Holmes? Who's the familial figure who comes in and helps Sherlock out whenever he needs a hand and shows him a guiding light? Oh, Henry Spencer, is that you?
Wait a second. There was, when you were saying that, there was a split second, because I'm, trying to guess every time, and I was like, who is around his age who's kind of the same intelligence as him? I don't know. Obviously, it's his dad, not the same
around
age.
His age. Yeah, it's slightly different, but Henry is the one who taught Sean all of that deductive reasoning. He's not as good as Sean because Sean inherited his photographic memory from his mother, not from Henry. Henry doesn't have that. He's great at deductive reasoning, but he's not he's not as intelligent as Sean is.
But he has the experience.
Exactly. Just like Mycroft Holmes, guys. We're booking it out. Again,
the puzzle
I didn't come up with any
pieces,
of
they're
this.
coming together.
It's all coming together.
The strings are attaching the red yarn.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that Charlie meme.
What's the Pepe Sylvia? Pepe. And then I rang Carol. If you haven't seen it, It's Always Sunny, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I gotta rewatch that episode. It's fucking crazy.
I haven't seen any of the newest season of that. I need to do that.
Me neither.
And it's
we should watch that.
It's like, what, 8 episodes? It's super short.
It's a short season because they're off doing other things.
But anyway, back to Psych.
Show. Anyway, back to Psych. Okay. Now, the creme de la creme.
Yes.
Right? Sherlock's greatest foe, Moriarty.
Mm-hmm.
Right? James Moriarty?
Yeah.
That's right.
I think.
Okay, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
It's definitely not Jason Moriarty, so I'm pretty sure it's James.
Or Jimmy.
Jim! That's it! Jim Moriarty. Yeah.
Well, I guess it is kind of Jimmy. Jimmy Moriarty.
Awful.
It's Jimothy.
No! Not the Jimothy. Anyway, Jim Moriarty.
Yes.
Who's Moriarty? Well...
There's quite a lot of them.
You're trying to guess, right?
Yes, because there's...
Who's the one foe that Sean always keeps coming back to?
I mean, there's I can't remember her name, but the crazy lady, the one behind the Hitchcock episode. But then there's also Carrie Elvis. Just wait.
Okay.
I honestly, those are my two
guesses. Yeah. Okay, just wait. Okay, so I think you're remembering things a little incorrectly. Not your fault. You haven't seen it in a while.
Yes.
But
I'm trying to
Yang,
draw these memories back from a decade.
Right. So Mr. Yang.
The crazy lady was the apprentice. I forgot.
Yang is there's the yin yang serial killer, right? In the show. If you haven't seen it, this is a huge spoiler that ruins a lot of stuff. Max already said most of it.
Yeah, I kind of just blurted it out of my brain.
But Yang is not in charge of the Hitchcock episode. By then, she is already caught. Yang is the first episode. What is it? An Evening with Mr. Yang. It was the last episode of season 3. That's the first Yang episode. And then Yang comes back all the time, all over again.
Pretty much like every finale is about Yang.
Now, you could argue that, Yang wasn't really the mastermind, so wouldn't that make Yin Sean's Moriarty? Maybe. But I don't care. I like Yang better, so it's Yang. And Yang is played by the girl from the Breakfast Club, so we like her.
She's just fun. That's what I remember about her character. She's always having fun.
And crazy. But she's legitimately scary, too, in the beginning. In the first few episodes. Actually, in the first trilogy of episodes that she's in. She's terrifying. You never know what she's gonna do.
Well, even when she's in a cell, like I'm remembering it, like behind glass or something.
Yeah. They do a Silence of the Lambs bit, definitely.
You still feel that despite her being crazy and her just being complete chaos, she's still in control. Like she's still, and not just of control of herself. She's in control of everything in the room.
Yeah.
And it is, that's where the fun comes from, at least for me.
100%, just like Moriarty. And she comes back so many times. Like, what was it that Moriarty was famously only in 2 Sherlock Holmes issues, but people were so enthralled by him that he's known as Sherlock's greatest villain?
Yeah.
Well, Yang is really only in she's really only a villain in 1 episode. The rest of the time, she's cryptically helping Sean, but also not because it's more fun, right? She's like she's the puzzle master. She's not the
Yes.
puzzle maker, but she is the master of the
Mhm.
puzzles, right? And she's in those first 3 Yin Yang episodes. Then she's in Psych the musical,
Mhm.
and then I think that's it. I
Yeah.
think she comes back.
I remember
Does
it
she
being
come
a
back
big
at all
deal
for Psych
that she
the
was in the
movie? I don't
musical,
remember.
but I don't
She
think
was in the musical. I
Maybe-
don't
was she in
remember
the
if
movie?
she comes back. That's what I was just thinking. She might. I don't want to spoil the first movie. Do you know? You saw the first movie, did
Is
you?
that the one with Zachary Levi?
Yes.
Yes, I
that's
have
the
seen
one with
that one.
Zachary Levi. So you know what that one's about,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I was wondering if she came back in a sort of flashback in that episode, but I don't recall, and I'm not there yet on my rewatch. I can update you once I get there. But as far as I know, she's only in 4 episodes, which is like,
yeah.
Psych has 8 seasons and 3 movies, like 120 episodes. Like, that's a lot.
And that just shows how much impact she has as a character.
Exactly. Okay, so now we get to the pièce de résistance.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell is Irene Adler? Irene Adler, the person that Sherlock Holmes kind of had a crush on, kind of not, who's so impressed, who's Sherlock is so impressed by, someone who beat him, someone who is on the wrong side of the law, but not someone that he doesn't want to have a connection with or a good relationship with, one he might even have, you might even call a friendship with. Why? That is Sir Pierre Desborough, okay? Played by the great Cary Elwes. That is...
Yep.
That was the one that really got me in this YouTube video that I was watching. Okay, when they said that Pierre Desborough is Irene Adler, I was sold. It just made
perfect.
so much sense in my brain.
Yeah. Just the fact
Pierre
that
Desborough.
he's the guy that got away for Sean.
Absolutely. Every single time, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, if you don't know, Pierre Desborough, I'm not gonna spoil it all like I didn't with the yin yang thing. I did a little bit. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's still worth
Pierre
watching. Definitely
Desborough-
go watch Psych.
Absolutely. Pierre Desborough is an art thief that Sean tries and fails to capture quite a few times.
Yeah.
But he eventually does capture him, but he escapes, blah, blah, blah. It's a crazy thing. But they eventually form a really, really close friendship that sometimes feels a little flirtatious and romantic. They go on lunch dates. They buy each other Christmas presents.
They're one
And
step
it's-
away from kissing. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely. 100%. If Jules was not around,
Yep.
Jules doesn't fit into this Sherlock Holmes analogy,
no.
by the way. Sorry, Jules. If Jules wasn't around, okay. Well, in Sherlock Holmes land, Sherlock Holmes would be with Watson, right? Because Irene Adler's not really an option.
Yeah.
But in Psych, Sean and Gus are they're
made for each other.
They're made for each other, but not romantically. Because the thing is, Sean, hugest bisexual I've ever seen in my life, other than me, of course. But but Gus is kind of homophobic, honestly.
Yeah.
Not towards gay people, but towards himself. Anytime, because Sean is constantly, I've been rewatching the show, right? Sean is constantly having his and Gus's cover be that they're dating, like being like, oh, let's hold hands. Oh, let me slap your ass, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Like, oh, they're rolling around together because they're falling off something or another. And every time Gus is like, get off me, Sean. And Sean's just like, what? 2 rows?
What's wrong?
Chilling?
5
Nothing's
feet
wrong,
away
man.
because they're not gay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like a lot of that is played off for comedy because it's of the time.
It definitely is.
But
It is the early 2000s. It definitely is. Gus isn't actually homophobic. When there's actual gay people around, Gus is not homophobic.
But I feel like that was definitely written in with subtext because the writers wanted to make it as overt as they possibly could.
Well, sure. Okay? Again, I'm just a full plagiarist. I don't have any of my own ideas because Tall is the introvert also said this, but Sean and Gus are, they're the same as Turk and JD from Scrubs. They're, it's guy love.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the Scrubs musical episode, but that's the song that they sing.
I haven't made it that far in Scrubs. I kind of dropped off.
So good. Scrubs is great. Anyway, I just freaking love Psych, man. And I was really floored by this Sherlock Holmes analogy. I thought that it was one of the greatest parallels I'd ever seen in, someone make. And that's why I started rewatching Psych, and I went back and I looked at it and I went, okay, if I were watching this as a Sherlock Holmes adaptation, how does it hold up? And honestly, like I said, I'm in the middle of season 6 in my rewatch right now. It's perfect. It's so good. It really is. It's better than any Sherlock Holmes adaptation I've ever seen.
Man,
Sorry,
Sherlock
BBC.
starts out really good, but man.
The thing is, okay, see, I really didn't get on the Sherlock hate train when everybody else was. I liked it. I liked it when it was coming out. I liked it. The last season happened. I didn't like that. But I wasn't a hater, really. Once a few years had gone by, I took a step back and I thought about the show. I always loved H Bomber Guy's video, Sherlock is garbage, and here's why. I've watched it like 17 times.
It's become a comfort watch, yeah.
Yes, it's great, but I never had the same visceral hate that
I mean,
H.
you can
Bomber Guy
understand
does.
it, but I definitely
Absolutely.
don't either.
Yeah, but then I took a step back and I thought about the show, and I thought the thing that people have been saying that really stuck out to me wasn't all the crap about Stephen Moffat or the writing or blah, blah, blah. It was the fact that they aren't good mysteries.
Yeah.
Because the things that Sherlock figures out aren't things that in the show Sherlock aren't things that the audience ever has a chance to possibly figure out.
Yeah, they leave
because
you
isn't that
maybe one breadcrumb and that's it.
But yeah, exactly. Isn't that the fun of detective stories? What you like about detective stories, about Clue, about Agatha Christie, about I just finished reading The Ninth House. I didn't know that it was a mystery, and it was a really, really good one.
Okay.
But it was intense. I really loved it.
Damn.
But
might have to read
what
this.
you love about mysteries like that is that the clues are all there. They're laid out for you. But you, the reader, the viewer, don't know how they fit together.
Right.
You can, if you're great at deductive reasoning like the protagonist, you can figure it out. And then it's like, once you get to the end, you're like, oh my God, I was right. That's crazy. I can't believe I figured it out. I don't think it's accurate to say that figuring out a plot line before it happens is a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Like, in a crappy movie, you're just like, oh, that was predictable. That's a stereotype. Of course it's going to happen. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a mystery. Because in mystery, you have to have the clues there. You have to have the audience has to have a chance to solve it, right?
Yes, 100%.
The thing that happened with BBC's Sherlock is that the audience doesn't see any of the clues. We're told the clues by Sherlock, or we see a bunch of crazy visual things come on the screen, like Sherlock's mind is a Google.
Yeah, let me go in my mind palace.
Let me go in my mind
words
palace
swirling
and
around.
search Google. Yeah, words swirling around. We have no idea what it means. And then he just thinks of something out of midair. And he's like, there's it. That's the solution. Or it's solved off screen. And you're like, okay, That's not fun. That's
No.
not fun for me.
I feel like
It's
the most perfectly written mystery is something where all of the pieces are there, you get to the end, and then you think, oh my god, I'm stupid, I should have figured that out. But
exactly.
you a lot of the times the audience, if it's, if this is sold as a mystery, they're trying to figure it out from minute one. So obviously some people are going to figure it out. And that's just logical.
Absolutely. And then it'll make you want to go back and rewatch it now that you know what the mystery is, so you can look for the clues. Let me give you a great example. The first time I saw Glass Onion, I was in the movie theater seeing it with my grandma, and we were sitting there, and it was at the very beginning of the movie. They were just about to get on the boat to take them to the island.
Yep.
And my grandma goes, and it was Duke, what's his name's character, Dave Bautista's character, right? Duke. He goes, they're about to give him the COVID shot or whatever, and he's like, does that have strawberries? Duke don't dance with strawberries. And my grandma turns over to me and she says, someone's gonna kill him using strawberries. And I went, what? And then that happened.
Yeah.
And
or
I
it was
like,
it was pineapple.
how did you?
But
pineapple,
yes.
That's it. Pineapple, yeah, not strawberry. Pineapple. How did I miss that? We were talking about Psych. Oh, I feel bad.
Oh, we
Guys.
missed the pineapple connection.
No, Psych has a secret pineapple obsession, and there's a secret pineapple hidden in every single episode of the show and the movies.
Yep.
Just in case someone didn't know that. But yeah, I was like, you are paying attention, Grandma. I was just enjoying the movie, and you're solving the mystery. And I was like, damn, okay, step off, like that. Great job. I didn't even register to me. Later, once like it happened, I'm pretty sure I would have been like, oh, it was pineapple. But I already knew it was going to be pineapple because my grandma had already said he's going to die from pineapple. Yep. So I wasn't surprised.
And that just shows it's a well-written mystery.
Exactly. The clues are out there. And that is why Psych is great, because in Psych, Sean it makes a point to tell you that Sean sees everything. Everything he sees, everything that crosses his line of sight, he processes. And he can refer back to it because he has a photographic memory. But the device that Psych uses to show when Sean is seeing something important is that it zooms into it and it highlights whatever Sean is seeing. That, and there's a little jingle that plays, and it's always the same, and it's great.
Yep.
And it's to show that is important. Now, during the story, what Sean sees, sometimes he doesn't know it's important yet.
Yep.
He's just seeing a room and will see something, and he notices it. And he doesn't know that it's important yet. He just notices it. But that is, first of all, that is the storytelling device to let the audience knows that he sees that thing, and to let the audience knows that thing is important. It
clues the audience into that mystery and just like, hey, pay attention.
It's a clue. Exactly. You know? And then at the end, if like they show things that you as a person could be like, oh, I can make this connection, you know, like an empty pill bottle, or I don't know, a broken rear view mirror, you know, something like that. And then you can make that connection if you're paying attention. And at the end, Sean brings everything together in the breakdown and tells you what it all means. And I mean, it sounds simple. It sounds simple.
Because that's what all mysteries
so many
are.
People...
But yeah.
Right. But why do so many people mess up on it? I don't know.
There's this balance of trusting the audience to just pick up on things without you making it obvious, and then also just, you know, not using subtlety, because sometimes you just can't be as subtle as you want to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in something like Sherlock, it feels more like it's more important to make Sherlock this brilliant, otherworldly thing that's so beyond any regular person. Yeah. he's not a great detective. Like you said, he has superpowers. That's not interesting. What's interesting is a normal person who is great at these things and just really good at this. And that's what drives interest. That's what makes you want to keep watching the show. That's what makes people want to watch 4, 5, 6, 7 Psych movies.
And movies until the actors are dead. Everything about Psych, and honestly, us talking about it, it's making me realize just how good of a show it was. Because we both watched it as kids. We enjoyed the heck out of it. But
we were really into detective shows as a kid. I remember we watched Monk together.
We watched
and
all
we watched
of Monk.
Psych. And what was the other one?
I mean, this is unrelated. But
it is.
You showed me Chuck, and we also watched the heck out of Chuck.
That's what I was thinking of. Chuck. Chuck is not exactly a mystery, it's a spy show, but they do have some mystery elements that are set up like that. But did we watch Burn Notice together, or was that me and my brother?
I didn't watch Burn Notice with you, and I've only seen the first season, but I do love Burn Notice. Yeah.
I liked Burn Notice as a kid, but I think I only also watched the first season.
Well, I just wanted to know who burned him, Sometimes you just gotta get to the bottom of burning.
You just gotta know, okay? I really wanted to know who killed Monk's wife, so I watched the whole show.
Yeah, exactly. It was the six-fingered man.
And then I forgot. I don't remember, actually.
I said it was the six-fingered man just because I can't think of anything else to say
No, that's
about...
perfect. That's perfect. That's who it is. It's the six-fingered man.
His name is Inigo Montoya. But I can't think of too much else to say about Psych other than go watch Psych. Even if you already have, start over. It's great.
Incredible, amazing.
There's
Timothy Oliphant, is that his name? No, it's not. No. Damn it, I always call him that. It's not Timothy Oliphant.
That's the really handsome dude.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything else to say about him. He was in Boba Fett, but that show's terrible.
Yeah. No, it's the guy who plays Lassiter.
It's like Timothy something like that. Yeah, he's
it's
Hephaestus.
Something, and it starts with an O, I bet. Yeah, and he was Hephaestus in the recent Percy Jackson show. And during the first Psych movie, he actually, like, right before they started filming, he actually had a stroke in real life, and they had to rewrite the entire movie. And they were all so distraught because they're all, like, really good friends and stuff. They've had lots of interviews talking about this. But they had to, like, frantically rewrite the movie while they were, like not grieving because he didn't die, but, like, dealing with their feelings for having their friend have, like, an almost deadly stroke.
That's terrible.
And then they still, like, once he had recovered enough, they still they rewrote the script again so that they could have a little just, like, video call and have him in the movie, because they said it didn't feel right without him. And then they made the whole second movie about Carlton Lassiter, the characters, recovering from a stroke. And that's what the whole second movie is about.
Yeah, called Lassie Come Home or something like that.
Yeah, Lassie Come Home, because they call him Lassie, like the dog. Yeah, it's great.
And I also looked it up. It's Timothy Omundson. So you were close.
I knew it
really
started
close.
with an O. I hear Timothy O, and then I want to say Oliphant.
And I'm glad he's still ticking, because I want to see these characters forever. I love them all.
He also had a really good arc on This Is Us, which I never finished. This Is Us, which I probably should have. I watched, like, almost the entire thing, but I never finished it. But he had a really good arc on This Is Us, where he also played a character recovering from a stroke.
I think I remember my mom watching This Is Us, and I was like, oh, a TV show that got my mom to watch TV, huh? This is probably good. And then I never checked it out.
Yeah. It's pretty good. But actually, they do make a joke about it in I think it's the third Psych movie. Because, so, there's This Is Us, which Timothy Omundson was on. And then there's the show called A Million Little Things on ABC, I think, which James Roday Rodriguez is on. and they're very similar shows. In fact, James Roday Rodriguez, or Sean in the movie says, why are you watching This Is Us? Like, Henry was watching This Is Us or something. He's like,
right.
Dad, why are you watching This Is Us? They have the same show over on ABC that's way better.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
I laughed my ass off.
I feel like I also have to mention this. Not that it's that important, and it has a very tentative link, but Psych and Monk take place in the same universe. Because there was once
because
an
there's
ad.
there's a little ad. I remember when it came out. I saw it,
and we all lost our minds.
Ad. Yeah, where Sean and Adrian are sitting next to each other, and Sean's like drinking a slushie or something.
Yeah,
but it was really funny.
I just still remember them, like, they're going over different numbers, and Monk is just like, no, don't like that one. No, don't like that one. And he's like, what about 3 times 3? Because that's 9, and it's this box, and it's even. And Monk just like looks up, and he's like, yeah, I like that one. And that was the moment that I wanted to see a movie with those two characters.
I love that. Okay, before we move on, I know that you haven't watched it in a while and don't remember, but do you remember a specific favorite Psych episode?
You know, I was going to bring up earlier that there is a Halloween episode almost every season, and I almost can't pick a favorite. I mean, it's kind of cheating to just say every Halloween episode. So, you know what? I'll think of one. You go, and I'll think of one of the Halloween episodes.
Okay. So I have to exclude all of the like special episodes, like all the Yin Yang episodes, all the Despero episodes. I have to exclude all the homage episodes because they have a crazy awesome number of homage episodes. I think there's an interview somewhere where the creator of the show, I think, what's his name, Steve Franks or something?
I have no idea.
He goes in whatever, but they say that it was their intention to create a miniature movie every single week. Yes. And I was like, that's a great thing. And they just, you could tell that the people making these episodes love movies and TV, and they just love this art form. Yeah. And they have so many homage episodes. Like I just, like last night, watched the one that is the Shining homage episode. Yes. What's it called? It is Here's Lassie. That's what it's called. The
one where Lassie's just going crazy.
Yeah. And the episode right before is called Indiana Shawn in the Temple of the Kinda Crappy Rusty Old Dagger. Yeah. You know, there's just all fun, awesome homage episodes, and they're great. But okay, so excluding all of those amazing ones.
Yes.
My favorite episode of Psych is actually in season 6, and it is the second episode of season 6, and it's called Last Night Gus. And it is, I'll give a quick synopsis. It's one of my favorite episodes. It's so good. So, Sean, Gus, Lassiter, Woody, Woodrow Wilson, the coroner at the police station.
He's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. And Henry all get it's a spoiler, but they get drugged and they wake up
I just remembered this episode.
Yeah. They wake up in the psych office the next morning. They can't remember anything that happened, and they're all disheveled, and they did so many crazy things last night.
And the episode, I'm about to spoil it, but it's a hangover. They do a hangover.
They do the hangover. Okay, damn it. That one is an homage. It's a hangover homage. Fuck.
But you know what? That might also be my favorite episode.
I'm still choosing it. It's so good. And just like, it's such a great episode. And it's just called Last Night Gus because Gus thinks he got super lucky. Yep. He was such a good playa last night.
Don't they be like, last night, lady. Gus? What was he up to?
He says, last night Gus had it right. And then he says some real crazy out of pocket things to the chief. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's such a great episode.
Honestly,
they have so much. They have a celebrity cameo. They have an explosion. They have it's so great. That's okay.
Yeah.
Now you go.
So obviously Last Night Gus is definitely my favorite episode, now that you bring that up. But, and if I can't use kind of the finales or the special episodes, because it also would be the Hitchcock episode.
Yeah, no, so good. That would have been one of mine as well. I love, that one is called, oh wait.
I don't even remember.
You keep going. Keep going.
The one episode that came to mind, and there are plenty of really good Halloween episodes that almost tiptoe into the supernatural, but it never does because that's not the kind of show it is. But there's one with a mummy, and they try to stay in a museum overnight. It's like called Night at the Museum or something. I think I gotta pick that one.
I love that one. That was an early one. I think that's season 3.
Yeah, I believe so.
No, it's not. It's the last episode of season 2. I know exactly why.
Oh.
Because Sean breaks his phone in that episode. And it's carried over into the next episode where his mom comes to town, so it's different. So I know a crazy amount about Psych, but I also just watched it. It's called Sean parentheses and Gus close parentheses of the Dead. Get it?
Oh my
Shaun
god,
of the Dead.
That's so good. That just made the episode 10 times better.
Great. I know, it's so good.
There's also an episode where Sean gets shot, and I liked that just because as a
Sean
kid,
takes a shot in the dark.
I
That
shipped,
is my second favorite episode.
I shipped the hell out of Sean and Juliet, and that's the episode where they really, really showed their love. And me as like a little 13-year-old boy, I was like, ooh, I love it.
So good. Okay, that one was I almost said that one because Last Night Gus and Sean Takes a Shot in the Dark are my two favorite episodes of Psych. And that one is, you're right, because that one is like, Sean is dating someone else. He's dating Abigail at that point, and he has to call Juliet and give her a clue to where he's being held because he's been kidnapped and shot. And he has to leave her a clue, and he says, and then the kidnapper thinks he's calling to say goodbye to his girlfriend. So he says, okay, tell her you love her. It's time to go, with the gun to his head. And then, so Sean says, I love you. And then he pauses, and Juliet is literally about to say it back to him.
So close to saying it.
And then Sean says, goodbye, Abigail. And he hangs up the phone, and I almost threw my TV to the ground. I swear to God. The first time I saw that, every time I see that, actually, it's so crazy. I love it.
It's perfect.
It's so good. Also, I found the episode title of the Hitchcock one. It's called Mr. Yin Presents.
Yes. Because Hitchcock presents.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
It's all a movie, and it's so good. God, they're all so good.
God.
I just love Psych, my dude. I just do.
It's so clear, just even talking about it, how much reverence and love comes from not just old cinema, but all of cinema. Because the writers and the filmmakers, they loved watching stuff and they loved creating stuff. And you can see that in the product.
I mean, one of Sean's things, they have so many running gags in the show, like actually a crazy amount. We can try and count them if we want. But one of them is that Sean makes crazy references that nobody gets to crazy obscure movies and TV shows.
And sometimes the audience doesn't get them either.
Most of the time, I didn't get them as a kid. I get way more now, but as a kid, I didn't get most of them, and I still enjoyed it. But there's like, they're so good. Once you do your rewatch, I'll have to quiz you on your favorite Gus nickname.
Okay.
So be ready for that.
I will be ready. And we'll probably end up talking a lot of Psych in the consumption corner in the next, I don't know, month or few months, because just talking about it is getting me excited to watch Psych again.
That's very true. But speaking of the consumption corner,
we should probably move on to there, where we're just starved for content. Nom 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 nom. Sasha, I tell you what, I've been consuming quite a lot lately. What about you?
Well, like I said, I finally finished ninth house. It took me all month, honestly. It took me a hot minute. That's way longer than I usually take to read a book. But I was very busy. I had a lot of things to do. So, and also I got distracted by a fan fiction. So
that happens.
It just happens sometimes. But I finally finished it yesterday. I absolutely loved it. I touched on it a bit earlier, but it is one of the best mysteries I've read in a really long time, and it's supernatural mystery. It has such depth of characters. There's so many great relationships and that grow in this book, and there's a character who's like one of my favorite characters ever, and he's like not even in the book really. Like it's very complicated. But
I mean, I know that I have to read this just purely on it's a really good supernatural mystery. Like you saying that, I'm like, okay, I'm in.
It really, I mean, I had high expectations because the author, Leigh Bardugo, she wrote one of my favorite duologies of all time, the Six of Crows duology. And I had high expectations for how good it was and also how dark it was going to be, because the Six of Crows duology, they say that it's a young adult book. They say they're young adult books, but they're very dark, okay? Like, very, very dark. Just like, I've always been like, this is a young adult book. Why?
I guess.
I mean, the main character's like, okay, I shouldn't go into it. But it's like a lot. It's a lot. Two of them are sold into sex slavery, like as children. Okay. And I'm like, okay. Well, one of them goes in voluntarily. Actually, it's complicated. It's very complicated. But I'm like, one of them was shipped out to sea on a pile of dead bodies because they thought he was dead, and he wasn't. And I'm like, this is a child.
Oh my goodness.
This is a children's book. Not children, but this is a young adult book. Okay.
This is for like 14-year-olds.
Yeah. So I had expectations that it was going to be dark. Very dark. Way darker than I was expecting. Not the darkest thing I've ever read by far, but very no holds bar. It's
just mature.
It is uncomfortable. It makes you uncomfortable with the reality of the world, because it is supernatural, but it doesn't take place in a supernatural world. It takes place in our world. So I liked it a lot. I found it very interesting.
I'm very excited to get this started, because now I really want to read it.
I'm moving on to the second one, and it promises to be even better. Which leads me into the second thing that I was going to talk about, but you go on your thing first.
Okay, so I have continued my reread of Game of Thrones, I've been reading it for the first time, despite my rewatch of the show ending. So I've just continued the books just because they're really interesting. I'm on the third one. It's great. But I talk about that because there is a new Netflix show by the creators of Game of Thrones. They're back.
God. No.
And I was so hesitant going in. So hesitant, because these guys, they messed up my beautiful boy. They messed him up. But
just him? They messed up everyone.
My beautiful boy, I mean just, Game of Thrones as a whole.
Oh, okay.
But this new show, The Three Body Problem, I'm only an episode in. So take it with a grain of salt. I was instantly hooked. I love this. There's a lot of talk of God. So this is, like, it hasn't really gotten religious, but it's clearly going to get into it. And it's about, science, and I don't want to give any spoilers because that was what really hooked me, is the initial premise. But definitely check out Three Body Problem.
I know that it's a science fiction book. I know that. And I know that it's a series. And I know that D&D are very good at adapting things. So I don't doubt that this is good. But I also know that the Three Body Problem, I'm pretty sure, fairly certain, not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's a finished series.
There is an ending.
Hopefully it will be good and they won't butcher it, as they are wanting to do.
I remember kind of wanting to read the book, but then I saw a trailer for the show and I was like, you know what, I'll just wait for the show. And I'm glad I did, because it is intriguing.
Read this. I started seeing billboards around, so I read the synopsis of the book, and it seems intriguing, and I do want to watch it. And I didn't know that it was even by D&D.
Yeah.
And you told me that, I almost went, I'm not gonna watch it. But no, I'll give it a shot. I'll watch it.
For all their faults, now I gotta keep that in. I can't edit it out. But for all their faults, they are good at adapting. Those first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones, near perfect.
Exquisite. I mean, yeah.
And there is Three Body Problem is a finished story in book format, so maybe cross our fingers they get the ending right.
Well, that's hopeful, you know.
Yeah, I'm optimistic today. I don't know.
Yeah. Why not? Try
maybe
something new.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow I'm less optimistic. I don't know. But what was your second recommendation?
Yeah, so I've been watching a lot of stuff since the last time we did one of these, but today my plan was to do a bunch of errands, get stuff done, and in between all that, make some real headway on the second novel in The Ninth House, which is called Hellbent, the second book. And I was raring to go. I was really ready. I started reading it, and then then I saw this YouTube video come up on my For You page it was a brand new video by Swell Entertainment, and it's talking about this reality dating show on Peacock. Now, if you know me, there's 2 things I hate: reality shows and dating shows. Well, I don't know why, but it intrigued me. So I paused the video in the middle. I was like, this seems interesting. I'm not going to finish the video. I don't want to get spoiled. And I started watching the show.
Oh my goodness.
And I have been watching it all day long.
What show is this? What reality show got you sucked in?
Anything else?
What in the world?
It's such trash. It's called Couple to Thruple. And it is about it's about a bunch of couples who want to invite a third into their relationship.
Okay.
And so it gets so messy, and I'm obsessed with it.
No.
I literally, before this, the only reality shows that I've ever watched were, as a kid, I watched Project Runway with my mom, and Bake Off. That's it. I watched Bake Off, and that's the only reality show that I watch. But now I'm obsessed with this, and I don't know why.
Really?
I'm literally on the last episode. I've watched the entire thing today.
You know, I think it just gets something at the base of our monkey brain. Because, you know, my girlfriend will put on some reality shows, and I'll end up just sitting and watching and like, this guy's dumb.
Yeah.
This person's just being an idiot, even though they were probably just edited to look like that. But it's just fun to watch.
And it's awful the way they treat them. They're dehydrated. They only give them alcohol. They don't give them privacy. They cut them off from the outside world. It's awful. It really is. And I don't agree with how reality television is made. But boy, is it made good. Oh my god. At least this one. I don't go in for shit like The Bachelor or Love is Blind or whatever. None of that shit. But I don't know why this pulled me in, but it did. And I they're all so messy. It's hilarious.
Sometimes it's fun to just watch a messy relationship. That's why dramas are fun to watch sometimes, even though they get depressing. But but that's the nice side of reality TV. It's dramas. That's fun.
That's why it's interesting in a show to have the will they, won't they. That's why Sean and Jules didn't get together till season 5. Crazy. Even though from the second episode of the show, you were like, oh, they're going to get together.
Yeah.
Not till season 5, they're not.
You got to keep the ratings up.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a good transition because the next show that I have to recommend, someone must be at the door. My dogs are just going crazy. But the next thing, maybe my dogs don't like it because it is a very depressing recommendation. If you've heard of it, the new HBO miniseries Quiet on Set, or the docu-series.
Oh yeah, I watched it.
See, I haven't even seen all of it because my girlfriend and I will put on an episode and we will get depressed, and days will go by until we can watch the next. And we feel like, you know, it's like when you listen to true crime podcasts, like you gotta know more, but man, it sucks to learn. But yeah, I really don't want to explain too much, but it's just the atrocities that happened in early 2000s Nickelodeon shows.
It's called Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Children's TV, right? That kind of explains all you need to know before you go into it. I will say I have known about the things that were talked about in this documentary for a while because I've been watching different videos on YouTube. Most specifically, I would recommend after you finish the Quiet on Set documentary, 4-episode documentary series, I would go and watch the Quentin Reviews video, We Don't Talk About Dan Schneider. I highly recommend that because Quentin Reviews is a YouTuber who's been covering the history of the Nickelodeon, of the Dan Schneider era of Nickelodeon shows for years now. And he has talked about these things. They were also mentioned, in Jeanette McCurdy's book. I highly recommend everyone read that. Called I'm Glad My Mom Died. It's an exquisite book. It's awful things have happened to her, but it's her memoir and it is brilliantly written. But the Quentin Reviews channel has been talking about this era of television for years now and doing this whole mini series on all of these shows.
Right.
And he made this very in-depth video that he had been wanting to end the miniseries with the entire time about Dan Schneider and the things that went on during that time, and citing the Quiet on Set documentary. He also takes a critical look at the documentary and talks about things that they kept in, things that they left out, why that's important,
because that will
and how it frames certain people who are in the documentary. And I think that is very important context to have when you're watching this documentary, because you can leave being like, I know this, this, and this, because this documentary told me so. But there's a lot that it didn't, a lot that it left out, and a lot that it didn't cover.
That's the main thing that I hope this documentary brings to light. Like, not that there are terrible people that should be in jail. Like, obviously they should be in jail. It's just kids' TV and the production behind it should be better. And I swear to God, if it's not in this day and age.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate, but all TV and movies need to be better because, obviously kids TV, but the documentary focuses a lot on how Dan Schneider's, writer's room and set environment treated women and adult women, the writers, the people who worked for, and just any of the people who worked for him, men or women, what was expected of them. And if the adults aren't feeling safe, then there's no way in hell that the children are going to be safe. I mean, it's...
And just the blatant disrespect for women, for any person who disagreed with him.
Yeah.
Really depressing topic. But...
It is, but the thing is, it's not just him, it's a systematic... It's not systematic, it's a systemic issue in Hollywood.
It's the people hiring everyone who hire sex offenders despite them going to jail previously for that crime to
Right.
work on a kids show. Like
Yeah.
things should be better. It is ridiculous that happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But another show that I've been watching, and I bring this up because after watching Quiet on Set, I would usually turn this on because while it's not perfect, it is really fun. It's just a light-hearted time. There is a narrative and a mystery behind it, but that's not really important because if you've seen Resident Alien on Netflix, stars Alan Tudyk as an alien who goes to a small town in Colorado, I think it is, and he just disguises himself as a human.
Yeah,
And
I heard
hijinks
about that.
ensue. It's really fun. It's really well written for as simple as a show as it is. I think that's
Hmm.
the best way to put it.
Yeah. That's interesting. I
Mm,
I haven't watched it, but I've heard it was funny. So,
mm,
that's good to know. When I'm done with Psych, maybe I'll check it
yes,
out.
maybe. But do you have anything else to recommend?
um I don't think so.
Okay. I got plenty others, but I can save that for another episode. Reading comics and such. But yeah, with that, this has been. I
A
can't
pineapple podcast. I did it.
Perfect.